with us here at Ambrose Urbanic Field. Kevin Wheeler and David Day with you on Pitt homecoming weekend. And we are underway. Crucial match for either side tonight. Points are at a premium at this point in the season, David.
Big game for sure, Wheels. Looking forward to it. Everything's at stake for both of these teams, and we have the Panthers all in white playing from right to left. Demon Deacons decked out in all black going from left to right tonight.
There's Jay Vidovich, former Wake Forest head coach, won a national title with the Demon Deacons in 2007.
A lot of storylines in this matchup for sure. The history, obviously the coaches' relationship, similarities in the programs. Coach Vidovich in the middle of all of it.
Jay Vidovich, the teacher of, in many ways, and a mentor to Bobby Muse, the Wake Forest head coach. The two of them still very close friends, talk all the time. Crowd is into it early as the Panthers have an early corner. Slotted near post. It's bouncing around in there for a moment. Logan Oliver's calling for a handball on Wake Forest.
Oh yeah, I saw it. That's a surefire penalty. The ref may go have another look at it. Indeed, he will, but certainly my initial look, I feel like everyone in the whole place saw that handball, and there was kind of no getting away from it. And so for Pitt, looks like they might well have another penalty to start off the game. And let's take a look. It come from the corner. The ball just bounces up. Yeah, it hits the arm there, and it's
Deba.
Not in what we would call a natural position, the way it's hanging out left from the body. That's unfortunate for that young man. Just a couple minutes into this start for him, and the ball smacks up. He's in a defensive position. And I believe we will see the referee return to confirm that this is a penalty kick, and I would imagine it would be Villamitjana to step up and take it for the Panthers. I see Wetzel standing over the penalty spot right now.
It will be a penalty for the Panthers.
Tough break for Demon Deacons, but absolutely the right call, and Pitt's going to need to capitalize off this opportunity, see if they can get themselves on the score sheet first, early, and throw the first blow in this game.
It's very similar to how the game began last week against Syracuse for Pitt, with Villamitjana with a chance to put the Panthers up 1-0 early. Just a minute and a half into this one as he faces off with Jonah Midnard. Villamitjana. Saved by Midnard. Sent back at him, and he saves it again. Still batting around. Unbelievable flurry of saves by Jonah Midnard between the pipes for Wake Forest.
What a massive save by the Wake keeper there. Multiple saves to fight off the Panthers. Villamitjana, I was wondering if he was going to change up his approach. He did the stutter step like last time, but he went to the left, whereas last week he went to the right. Dahl's rebound was saved, as was the third effort there. Tremendous run of play for the keeper. Midnard, 3 huge saves to keep the score 0-0.
And an early mistake by Alfred Deba, the true freshman, giving up the penalty on the handball in the box, is picked up by Jonah Midnard between the pipes in goal. That corner knocked away by Wake Forest easily. Man, what an unbelievable sequence of plays by Midnard.
He was patient on the penalty, read the rebound really well, and was even able to tip over the third opportunity. So that was just great goalkeeping there to make 3 reflex saves, a short amount of time, intense pressure.
And in a game that's going to be highly possession-based and probably some good amount of offensive chances for either side, and a team in Wake Forest, David, that has bled goals to this point in the year. They're 13th in the conference, giving up a goal and a half per game. Those 3 saves right there could be crucial as this game moves on.
Yeah, let's have one more look at that. Gets behind the shot well. Kick save from Dahl's opportunity. Then it's Villamitjana with the header. That looked like it was going in as well, and Mednard's able to tip it over the crossbar.
Mednard in his first year as a starter. 2 goals allowed in his first 6 games, but he's given up 17 in his last 8. Card issued out here to Travis Smith Jr., the left center back for Wake, and Pitt will get a free kick. Kyle Johnston, our referee tonight. Sent into the box, headed there by Gilman, and out the other sides. Goal kick to come.
Busy start to this game, just 3 minutes in, and here we'll see the yellow card that Smith picked up. Running into Thorsen.
Pitt playing a high line early. This ball booted forward. Pitt will try to possess from the back. So Wetzel collects it and sends it out to the left for Gilman. And Wake Forest returning the favor with that pressure.
Pitt's definitely seen the better of the play in the early going here. Wake will have to find a way to kind of settle into this game, find some possession of their own.
Tomas Badere moving through, tries to win the ball back, and Dahl will come away with it.
I'm thinking about that yellow card that was just issued to Travis Smith.
Ball forward for Pitt, slotted into the box. Sliding in there to stop it is Daniel Kruger.
Just to finish that thought, it was given a yellow card 3 minutes into the game, it kind of sets a standard for the referee, and so we'll see how that impacts future decisions, and if that means that we're going to see a lot of yellow cards today, or if that decision to issue that yellow card will help, manage this game in a way that kind of keeps the players on the right side of the referee.
Harvey Sarajian has been fired up in the early part of this game. So the ball's been cleared over to the Pitt back line a couple times. He's turned around and started screaming at his teammates. And a second handball for Deba.
That one, at least, his arm was hanging closer to his body.
A little bit more incidental in that situation.
Yeah.
Bobby Muse in his 11th season as head coach with Wake Forest. Reached the final 16 in 8 of his 10 seasons with Wake Forest, and last year made it to the round of 8. Was an assistant under Jay Vidovich for 6 seasons from 2001 to 06, and then he leaves to go take the Denver job as a head coach. And the year he leaves is when Jay Vidovich and Wake Forest wins the national title, but Bobby Muse was there as an alumni and celebrated that championship with his old team. And the two of them very close friends still, and told us some funny stories between the two that they've shared over the years. We enjoyed hearing about those. Bobby Muse is 3-1 all time against his mentor, Jay Vidovich.
Both men very complimentary of each other, obviously great friends. A lot between them. Look at that great picture there. Young Muse, young Vidovich.
This ball up top now for Moxham, and he's able to get rid of it. Sarajian was applying the pressure. Yeah, Jay Vidovich said he has a picture of the celebration from that tournament, or from that championship, and Bobby Muse is in the picture. Said he had his fingerprints all over that Wake Forest program, even though he wasn't technically part of that staff. He did so much for Wake Forest to build that up and allowed Jay to do some more coaching, handled a lot of the recruiting, handled a lot of alumni situations, and really helped build Wake Forest into what it is. And of course, Bobby Muse has done an unbelievable job with Wake Forest in his own right in his 10 seasons there.
Really impressive programs, really impressive. You talk about fingerprints, but just the impact on institutions and programs, soccer in general in this country. So great work by those coaches and the efforts of everyone associated with these programs to make them the impressive entities that they are at this point. And I think that's what's made this season a bit more surprising for both these coaches, is the struggles, and they've both found themselves in a position that they're not normally in, which is, you know, fighting to get in the NCAA tournament down the business end of the season, which is what's going on here. And both these teams will be looking to get a win tonight, make a good run in the ACC tournament, and see if they can get themselves bids to the NCAA tournament.
With the way the college season is made up, you know, it takes so long to just get your guys' legs underneath them and get chemistry to build. It's around now that you start to see the cream rise to the top. And that's what both these coaches are hoping they're finding with their rosters. Finding a little bit more consistency in their lineups, some chemistry building this late stage of the season. Once you get that little chill in the air, you know it's time for postseason soccer. It's right around the corner.
Yeah, I think Coach Vidovic told us today that this was the first time that they'd run the same lineup out there 2 games in a row, and so Pitt's able to bring back the same starting 11 from last Saturday night against Syracuse, a 4-2 victory. Jay said last week he wished they had 10 games left in the season. He felt like they were just sort of figuring some things out, but unfortunately there are only limited opportunities. And so we'll see if there's enough games, enough wins to be gained for each of these teams down the stretch to see if they can make a run through November.
And aside from trying to move up in the ACC standings and give yourself at least a better matchup, a more favorable one in the early rounds of the tournament, if you don't get in that top 8, you're looking at playing on the road for quite a long time, and neither one of these teams wants to necessarily do that. But it is just crazy. We were talking about this last week, David, how the conference has kind of turned upside down. Some teams that you didn't necessarily think would be in the top 5 at this point in the year, they sit there now. And these 2 teams who won, in the case of Pitt, won the regular season title last year. Wake Forest wins the tournament title, picked in the top 3 before the season starts, and they're sitting down in 11th and 12th respectively right now.
Yeah, a lot of parity, not only in this conference, but in college soccer in general. A lot of really good teams out there, and you know, certainly with the transfer portal and with the way college athletics is right now, there's opportunities for teams to turn over their rosters and bring in some impact players that can really change your fortunes from year to year. And the flip side of that is certainly for some of these successful programs is, you know, you're graduating guys, you're losing guys to the pros, and it's hard to keep replenishing high levels of talent.
Pitt with a pretty nice slow build up the field there as Dahl tried to send in a cross to the box. It was knocked out. For the Pitt Panthers last week, they came into that game against Syracuse with over a 300-minute scoring drought. And by the time Villamajana's PK goal went in, it was up to 356 minutes without a goal scored. But once that happened, David, the barrage started, and it was a 4-goal output, which ties the highest output for the Panthers all year. And that attack and that build just looked so much better and a little bit more confident and relieved after that first PK goal went in.
Yeah, you could see the chemistry was stronger, the understanding between players. That man on the ball there, Sorensen, provided some great passes last week. So, you know, he'd been out of the lineup for a few games, and you can see the difference he made returning. Lasse Dahl's returned from injury. Kasper Svenby's returned from injury. Albert Thorsen has overcome injury and has been in a fine vein of form the last couple of weeks. So I think that certainly for Pitt, the team is in a place where they want to be. And like we said, there may just not be enough games left for them to get themselves going to be able to reverse some of the early damage for Wake Forest, they started the season really well, 4-0-3, and then they kind of hit the skids a bit, starting with a trip down to Virginia where it was a barn burner, 6-3, first game of the or second ACC matchup for them of the season, but they've struggled a little bit more lately, had a really tough schedule of their own.
Ball sent in here for Villamajana, another unbelievable save from Mednard. 4 shots on frame that he's saved.
Another huge save by the goalie. Villamajana did a good job heading it down, but wasn't able to head it away from the keeper enough, and the keeper had a relatively, I call it a relatively easy save, but there's nothing easy about that. You see he gets down and is able to get a paw on it. So Villamajana just not able to find a way through. And we'll see if that is a storyline that continues to develop over the course of the evening with Mednard frustrating the Panthers. Or is it a matter of Pitt continuing to knock at the door and find a way through? As we mentioned, they looked good in the attacking sense last week. And they've looked bright in the early going today.
Yeah, Pitt has seen a lot of the ball so far. Bobby Muse said they would probably relinquish some of the possession.
Okay, talked about picking their spots a bit. Certainly he was expecting a physical game, but he was looking for Wake to be able to impose themselves on this contest.
Dahl keeps it in at the boundary line and then gets it back into the center of the field now, and Pitt will regroup. Centered up for Villamajana with some space to work. Back to him. Pitt trying to connect passes together, find some breathing room. Dahl working on Amani Thomas. Spins around him, sends this across. Villamajana there to stop it for a moment.
It's been a good spell of possession for Pitt, but they haven't been able to break down the Wake lines there. Wake doing a good job of frustrating Pitt, putting bodies in the passing lanes. We'll see if Wake's able to string some passes together and get themselves going forwards.
Switch fields now for Deba, and he lets it bounce past him.
Seems to me he's struggling a little bit with the turf, you know. I mean, it's a very wet surface. It plays quick. Wake being a grass team, the young man probably has not played here before. And we know Pitt likes to keep this surface slick. So Deba will have to make some adjustments to the surface.
Well, we always hear from visiting coaches when they come in that they're pretty used to the fact that for the first 15 minutes or so of the game, it's going to take their guys a little while to get their feet under them because this surface plays so fast.
Yeah, and you see right here, if he had it to do again, he'd have gone to control it on the bounce. But it gives it a bounce and it just gets a bit too much juice under it. Thought Thorsen was going to go on another mazy run through the midfield there.
Ball sent forward for Villamajana, and Pitt on the attack again, combining with Lasse Dahl.
Wake showing a good organization in their defensive structure, and then you see as Pitt's knocking it around. Wake looking for opportunities to press them.
Thorsen sent it up high for Svenby. Kept it in. Wake Forest will boot it to the center.
Logan Oliver on the ball there with Badore in the middle. Logan Oliver's really stepped up to a key role with this team the last few weeks. He's been a 90-minute guy in that number 8 position. He's really won himself that position, that role on this team, and he's been making a big impact, really steady in the middle. And the big thing about Logan Oliver playing the 8 is that allows Villamitjana to play the 10 higher up the field and free him up in his attacking game.
It's a change that Jay Vidovic and Pitt made pretty recently in the last handful of games, sliding Villamitjana up into the 10. Dahl and Thomas battling again. So each team with only one ACC win to this point in the year. 2 of the final 8 from a year ago, both of them losing in the quarterfinal in the national tournament. This year, really both sides needing a huge win to keep their season alive, keep it moving in the right direction as they try to snatch momentum at the end of the year here. This would be a quad 1 victory for Wake Forest if they're able to claim it. A big road win as well. Pitt has been pretty solid on their home field. Yet when they go on the road, they're 0-5. So for Pitt, they're trying to protect home field, get that signature win against the Wake Forest program that is starting to build things in the right direction at the end of the year. Gauntlet of a schedule for either side. You see the numbers on Pitt there in home games, 5-1-3 this year, and you see the goals per game and allowed. That tells you the whole story right there.
Yeah, and I know it's getting into spooky season, and that's a bit of a scary stat right there. Pitt really struggling on the road.
Way to weave that in. That was pretty good. When are you going to drop a trick or treat reference in there?
Any minute now.
Okay, I'll be waiting.
I'm excited to eat all my kids' candy next weekend.
I bet. Maybe you could share some with me. Bring it to work.
I would do that.
Yeah.
There's plenty to go around. They do well at Halloween time.
I'm a fan of peanut butter cups, just to
that's
let you know.
perfect, because I don't like them.
Oh,
so I'm always
this
looking
is
for
great.
someone to give them to.
See, this is what I mean. You always choose the opposite side of what I think is good. You're doing it even with candy. Ball out wide for Dahl. Pitt really trying to work this connection on Thomas at the back.
Yeah, that's a great matchup down there, Dahl and Thomas. Enjoyed watching that tonight, and in that case, Dahl got past him, but Thomas has had some wins there too.
Foul on Villamitjana. Getting into it a bit with Daniel Kruger.
Yeah, there'll be some feistiness down there tonight. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how guys are able to manage their emotions. You know, pretty close to a must-win game, but neither team's season is over with a loss, and so it's not quite. There is a tomorrow, there is a next game, there is the ACC tournament, and so lots still to play for. But you get 3 points for a win, 1 for a tie, and none for a loss in ACC play, and so obviously 3 points on the line in this one.
Thomas streaming up the right side. Gets it to Sarajian, back heel to Deba, and cleared out by Pitt.
Signs of a nice build by Wake Forest there.
Jose Perez coming off a goal on Tuesday against Wofford. Number 12 in black.
Nice little touch by Badore.
David, one thing that really stuck out to me in preparing for this game on either side, and maybe even more so on Wake Forest than Pitt, with the just sheer amount of collegiate game experience that is on both of these rosters. So we see Vlad Walent come in for Deba. So Deba gets the start, quickly gets subbed out. Basit Umar also heads to the bench for Wake Forest. But tons of experience, David, on either side here. You know, number of games and starts into the 20s at basically every position in the starting 11 for either side. And that type of experience is what can really come into play at this point of the year. All these guys have played in NCAA tournaments and ACC tournaments. They've seen all of this before. So you know nobody's going to be necessarily overwhelmed with the moment.
Yeah, I think that's what's a bit surprising about these teams' struggles this season too. The fact that they do have so much experience returning.
It's offside on Jeffrey White.
Granted, you're always going to lose key players and have to replace them. You're always going to have young players and new players that you're going to have to bring into your squad and bring along. But I think both these teams have had kind of similar woes in the sense that I think they've both missed having a prolific number 9 or a prolific scorer for them, and I think they've both been kind of plagued by whether it be inconsistencies or mistakes that have been punished, and that's reflected by the goals conceded. And so you see sort of much higher than normal goals conceded for both these squads and lower goals scored for both these squads, because I think they've both kind of struggled to find the net in a consistent manner. And I think that's the key with scoring, is you got to kind of get it going, and that's how you find more of it, you know, so it's contagious in that manner.
And not only that, but that's what a result can do for you too. I mean, a second ACC win for either one of these teams, and you know, you start to build positive results heading into the late stage of the year, it gets dangerous. Here's Badore with a shot, and it goes wide left. Or excuse me, Grayson Carter was the one cutting it back.
Didn't end up threatening the keeper, but I think Carter's eyes got real big there for a second as he saw the opportunity open up in front of him to get a shot off here. The freshman Carter, he's really been putting together an impressive first season. He has been on the score sheet, but I'm sure he's hungry to get himself back on there. It appears Dahl and Carter have switched sides, and Dahl now is going to work down the right, and Carter's going to take a run down this left-hand side. So Pitt changing those matchups a little bit of the wingers.
Carter's been a huge upstart freshman for Pitt out of the Real Salt Lake Academy. Started 11 straight games. Earned a lot of respect in the early portion of training from his teammates. He's had 90 minutes in 5 of his last 6 games. Jay Vidovich and the staff love him out there. Sorensen, a nice ball up. Dahl can't handle it. His first real touch on that right side. That's the benefit at Carter and Dahl both being basically 2-footed. You can flip them around and give it a different look.
Yeah, I like the idea of changing those matchups too and trying something different if it's not working out the way you want it to.
Thomas earns himself some space. It's Walent trying to work with Thomas, and it goes across the end line here for a goal kick.
Thomas has been busy tonight. Dahl's been running at him. He's been looking to get up the right-hand side, so definitely active. But he's had a good start to this game. Pitt will look to play out from the goal kick.
And really, you look back at this point, the 27th minute of this match. In the early moments, it was Jonah Mednard, keeper for Wake Forest, that kept this thing at bay and kept it scoreless. But really, it should kind of be 2-0 at this point if you're Pitt. Obviously, 3 great saves off the PK by Mednard, and then the additional chance on the header by Villamajana. Mednard has dealt with all of that handedly so far. Streaming up the side is Walent. This one goes off the foot of Sorensen, so it'll be a Wake corner.
It's an encouraging run up the field by Wake. Cooper Flax gets it going through the midfield. He's able to really lead Willent into space. Sorensen cuts out the cross. Wake with the corner.
Joel Torbeck to take it. Cooper Flax is over there at that short corner. Sent in and headed out. Lined toward the net and deflected. That was Jose Perez with a one-time shot.
Wake having some opportunities now. You can see here it's headed away. Gilman. As you mentioned, Perez with the shot that gets deflected.
Near post headed out again by Pitt. This time Thorsen able to put his head on it. And Perez's goal on Tuesday against Wofford was off a deflection. Pretty similar strike to that, and it went off of a Wofford chest and into the back of the net. Gilman dealt with it pretty well that time for Pitt.
Nice passing by Pitt there to find a way out from the back.
Carter getting worked on. 3 defenders come up. Carter and Kruger collide. It seems like Kruger's been in the mix of a couple of spats already.
Yeah, it wasn't like an accidental collision there.
Yeah.
There was
a message was being sent.
Yeah, there was words exchanged there between Carter and Kruger. And that's something that Carter has demonstrated a great effectiveness at. He's a gamer and he likes to mix it up with his opponents. Got that cheeky grin to him. Here you see that interaction between Carter and Kruger. A little bit of afters.
Only really expect all that to continue as the night goes on.
Yeah, I think to your point about the chances that Pitt's had and the goalkeeping performance, that's where I think Wake will really take stock from the momentum that their keepers helped them keep a hold of. Keeping the score sheet 0-0, helping Wake have the opportunity to settle into this game rather than being a goal down a minute into it. So just a massive impact by Mednard. And I think for Wake, you just saw the 2 corners. They're going to grow into this game a bit more and feel buoyed by the fact that they're still on level terms.
And in the case of Wake, you got 6 players on the roster with multiple goals. So goals can kind of come from wherever. And remember, you also still have Tate Lawrence on the bench, who has 6 goals this year. So here comes Wake with a decent build. Thomas swarmed briefly, and now to Flax. Forward for Willent. And Sorensen guides it across the end line.
Wake's had some decent scoring this season. They did put up 4 on Lipscomb. They did score 3 on UNCW. They put up 3 in that 6-3 loss at Virginia, and then they put up 7 on Liberty before scoring 3 in a 4-3 loss to Clemson. So definitely they've scored goals. They've just conceded too many and given up some bad ones.
5th in the conference in scoring this year. Anders Bordoy has come on for Lasadal, and he takes that left-hand wing position. Carter flips back to the right again. So a little bit of matchups being played with here by Jay Vidovich and the staff as they bring Bordoy on a little earlier than we're accustomed to seeing him.
Bordoy's overcome an injury during the season, so he's looking to regain his form. Got some good speed, likes to run at defenders. We'll see if he's able to have some one-on-one success against Thomas.
Well, this is kind of the benefit of Jay Vidovich having some different weapons versatile weapons at the top of his formation, and being able to flip wingers if he needs to. The way they combine with Thorsen. So you can do things like tinker with the lineup a little bit early in the game if you like a decent matchup. See if Bordoy can provide a spark. Pitt defending well through the center. Wake Forest keeps possession.
Nice battle in the midfield there. It was Carter and Willent. Willent came out on top. Wake maintains possession. Something I've noticed in this contest, Kevin, Kasper Svenby's been extremely quiet from his right back position, and he's been playing kind of a true right back today, where you see there he's been shepherds the ball away from Cooper Flax, but Svenby hasn't quite been marauding forward quite as much as we've been used to seeing him. So I don't know if that's a tactical adjustment or he just hasn't had the opportunities.
Mistouch by Wetzel there, and shot goes over.
Wetzel slipped there and lost possession, but I was just thinking a few minutes before that how good Wetzel has been this season. Here you see Badore, plays it to Wetzel, gets away from him and he has a little slip, but the opportunity passes. But you don't see too many errors from Wetzel, and for a young freshman that's pretty impressive.
Willent toward the box. Pitt there.
That's great play by Bordoy to get back and just nip that ball away from him at a critical point in time. Bordoy gets back and just sort of gets a little touch in to take it off his foot and prevent the opportunity to build.
Sorensen sends it back in. Wake has been working up this right side.
Yeah, they've definitely been seeing more of the ball the last 10 minutes or so, settling into some nice spells of possession.
Wake will keep possession in the center as you look at this play by Villamajana on the other end.
Lovely back heel. Is able to connect it to Gilman, who clears the danger. Just such talent in that man's feet. And his head for that matter, but Villamajana, one of 4 players going to be recognized for senior night tonight, and he's going to be a huge loss for this Pitt team. It's always sad to see the seniors leaving.
And Gemma and Subachan come on for Wake Forest. Now here's a quick counter by Pitt after the turnover in the circle. Out wide now for Albert Thorsen. Slots it into the center looking for Bordoy. And Mednard is there to pounce on it.
That was a nice opportunity for Pitt, but they weren't able to find the final touch. A lot of fresh legs on the pitch for Wake Forest right now.
And Bobby Muse does like to go deeper into his bench. Still trying to figure out how he likes to manage the new substitution rules in college soccer.
Yeah, I think everyone is a little bit still, which seems weird because it's a couple years into it, but you know, that no re-entry in the second half really changed things, and the substitution opportunities. For a long time, coaches were used to being able to bring a guy back in the second half, and by taking that away, you've really got to think about who you start the second half and who you're saving on your bench to be able to bring on in the second half. And coaches were talking to us this week about just how difficult it is to predict what the scoreline is going to be in the 80th minute of a game.
Here's a rush now by Ethan Subachan. The Louisville transfer tries to center it up for Willent, and Pitt is going to relinquish a corner here.
Dangerous ball in. Gilman didn't know if he had Willent breathing down his neck, so he played it out for a corner. Subachan, look at that, that's a really nice ball into a dangerous place.
Joel Torbick, a State College native, comes back to Western Pennsylvania to play here tonight. He'll take the corner.
He's looked good since coming on.
Headed out once again by Pitt. Thorsen was in the mix.
Like that defensive effort by Thorsen. He does a great job of getting back. That doesn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet. But he has a great work ethic to him, and you know, he's a good player on both ends of the field, and that just shows kind of his work ethic, getting back into your defensive 6-yard box and heading away corners.
Comes a rush by Bordoy. Plays it back instead.
Wake did a nice job of closing in on the ball there. He saw a number of black shirts compacting in. Interesting call there. Torbick fouls Gilman.
Shot totals 5-2 in favor of Pitt so far. 3 of those on target. Big saves by Mednard in the early going. 3 corners for Wake so far, just 2 for Pitt. Foul in the center now. Thorsen goes down.
5 shots for Pitt, but I think 3 of them were all on the penalty play, so
sure,
arguably just 2 since the first minute. Pitt has looked to possess a little bit more. Both teams have sort of entered more into their possession-based approach.
Sent across the box. Grayson Carter collects. Now to Logan Oliver. Carter sends a ball in. Headed by Villamajana. Saved again. That ball was on target.
That's an outstanding save. Again, Jonah Menard denies Villamajana for at least the 3rd time today. Carter zings a ball in there. Villamajana, great header. Goalkeeper, tremendous. Gets down, pulls it away. Really nice save there by the keeper again. Menard has single-handedly frustrated the Panthers in this first half.
Standing tall at the back for Wake Forest is Mednard. He's been tested this year too. 5th in the conference in saves. Makes about 3 saves a game typically. Mentioned that Wake has been bleeding goals a little bit since ACC play began for them. But tonight, what a fantastic effort so far in the first half to keep this game scoreless.
Great goalkeeper play. Absolutely massive. You talk about leading your team from the back. I mean, that is just job number 1. Keep the ball out of the back of the net. For Pitt, they're going to be frustrated. They've had some good chances. I think the longer it takes them to get on the score sheet, the more nervy they'll become. I think it was Coach Muse was talking to us about squeaky bum time.
Yep.
And it is, as he said, squeaky bum time of the season. So a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. Every game presents different challenges. Seems like each 10 or 15-minute period of a game presents different challenges, and so these teams will have to earn this win tonight, find a way to defeat their opponent.
And both coaches kind of are of the thinking at this point that, you know, a win, it feels almost more like relief. You got out with points. It's not necessarily celebratory anymore. You're just happy you were able to do it. Bobby Muse with maybe the quote of the year for us in our meeting with him. He said, you know, a normal college soccer season, it feels like a year of depression at times.
Yeah. Yeah, he talked about that they are having more of a normal season rather than a above average or spectacular season.
Just shows you the battle and the gauntlet that every season really is. And
sure.
It's so short. You don't have a lot of time. So if you lose a guy or two to injury, they miss 3 or 4 games, and now all of a sudden your record looks like maybe Wake Forest does or Pitt's does, where you have only 1 ACC win, but maybe you feel like you've been, you know, dealing with your process in the correct way. Confidence has been growing, but the results don't necessarily come because they're so compact in the season.
Yeah, it's tough. It is, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but it goes by really quick. And so, you know, if you have injuries, you can lose a player for 2, 3, 4 games. I know for Wake, they were feeling pretty good about themselves coming back from the West Coast after beating Cal, but then they had ties against Louisville and Wofford, and now all of a sudden you're not feeling quite as good about yourself. So I think just keeping that mental focus, not getting too high or too low, and taking care of the business that's in front of you each night, not getting too far ahead of yourself.
Well, it illustrates, too, it's not only just in the ACC where anybody can beat anybody, but truly it's just a college soccer thing, period. Talk about the UNCW match earlier this year, the Wofford match, St. John's, where that was a scoreless draw down in Winston-Salem as well for Wake Forest. Pitt had a scoreless draw against Incarnate Word, so anybody can pop up at any point in the midweek and give you a contest. Ball sent in, looking for Thorsen. Travis Smith was there. And White will kick it out. Gilman fires it in. So we ended toward the end here of the first half. So David, kind of a back and forth game. Obviously the big story is Jonah Mednard in goal for Wake Forest. Multiple unbelievable saves to keep this thing scoreless. PI 41 for Notre Dame. So the opportunities to kind of get big wins are running out for Wake Forest. This would qualify as a quad 1 win if the Demon Deacons are able to steal one away at Ambrose Urbanic Field. Trying to bolster that NCAA tournament resume, in addition to set themselves up for a decent draw in the ACC tournament, a tournament that they won a year ago.
We'll see how these teams set up for the second half.
Svenby playing a little bit higher now in the formation. He has some space. Centering this ball up, shot deflected. Villamenjana tried to send it toward the net. It'll go out for a Pitt throw.
I'm sure Pitt will be looking to get Svenby going in this second half. He was a little bit quiet in that first. Certainly the impactful player that he is, he'll be looking to see if he can create more problems for Wake at the back.
Once again looking for a Villamenjana header, but Mednard was there to cut it off. The ball from Svenby. So as you mentioned, Tate Lawrence is on the field, number 32 in black, playing the right wing position for Wake Forest. Subachan in at the 9 position. Tate Lawrence, didn't see him start the match, but he brings 6 goals into this game, and he has the ball at his feet now. Tied for the team lead in scoring. Working on Gilman. Tate Lawrence, the hometown kid from Winston-Salem, grew up a Wake fan, loves the program, transfers in after 2 years at North Carolina. Bobby Muse said that the staff knew Tate Lawrence when he was a baby. And they didn't have a spot open when he was coming out of high school, so he ends up going to North Carolina playing for Carlos Zambrano, but finds his way back through the transfer portal, and now a fixture in the attack for Wake Forest and Bobby Muse.
Yeah, and he's seen a lot of the ball early in this second half as well, so his introduction has definitely brought energy to Wake Forest to start this second half.
Subachan charging toward the top of the box, has it taken away. Nice backheel touch by Villamajana to try and launch a quick counter. Anders Bordoy starts the second half on the left wing for Pitt. And Casper Svenby, number 21 in white, playing much higher up the field in this half than he did in the first. Preseason Mac Herman Award watch list member and an All-American last year.
Svenby's season last year was one for the ages for sure. Just absolutely made a massive impact coming in for this Pitt team and playing in that dynamic right back position that is able to get so high up the pitch.
Christian Escribano with a run. Deflected there on the slide by Svenby, and Moxham gets his hands on it.
Svenby doing it on the defensive end there as well, helping to break up that play and shepherd it back to the goalie. But there you see the accolades from last year. All-American. I mean, that says it all right there. Only the third All-American in Pitt program history.
Defensive Player of the Year in the conference. Had some injuries throughout the year. He's worked his way back to full strength now. Picks up a foul here. Free kick coming from a dangerous position for Wake Forest.
Svenby concedes the foul there. And this is in a strong position for Wake Forest. Flax over the ball from the left. Torbeck on the right.
Flax with 5 assists on the year. Sends this back post over the top of everybody. Goal kick coming from Moxham. I'm sure Flax would like to have that one back. He started 48 straight games now in his career for a total of 73. All encompassing in his college career.
Really impressive career for Cooper Flax. Putting up points, providing, leading.
On that mid-season Mac Herman watch list for this season.
And we know the best ability is availability, and 48 straight starts in the college game. That tells you a lot about toughness and resilience.
It's another guy that's had a hat trick this year. 6 goals and 3 assists in his last 6 games.
I was surprised to see that 4 of Flax's goals have come from penalties. Now, granted, he's 4 of 4 from penalties, but Wake as a team has been awarded 5 and has scored 5 penalties, and that sounded like a lot of penalties to be given to me. So I'm not sure what's been happening to them, but it sounded like they've been getting mugged in the box a lot. Pitt, by contrast, has had just 1 penalty awarded this year.
Well, 2 now. Include tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just trying to keep you honest.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Santi Ferreira, number 28, sitting in there in the holding central midfield position.
Ball up for Svenby, trying to split the center backs. Flax plays it back to Mednard.
Svenby really putting Mednard under pressure there.
Rentz loses it for a Pitt throw now. Santiago Ferreira, 10 starts on the year for Pitt in 12 games. Did not play against Syracuse at all. Didn't even see 1 minute on the field, but he's out there now, the second half. Pitt continues to possess the lion's share of the ball in the first half.
We'll see if Pitt's able to find a way through. We'll see if they are, if that is reliant on the impact and the role of Kasper Svenby down this right-hand side, or if there's another way for them to find their way through. Can they connect with Albert Thorsen in the box? Thorsen's been relatively quiet from an attacking standpoint tonight. Wake's been really well connected and organized across their back line.
Be a deep throw now.
Decent crowd on hand here tonight. It's a pretty cold evening here in Pittsburgh. We went from summer to winter in 1 week.
It was 75 degrees here last Saturday.
It was.
Shot blocked by Wake Forest. As Kruger stepped up to put a foot on it. Now sent down to the circle. It was 45 degrees at kickoff tonight, and I know we're cold, but we're in this nice booth we have here.
Well, I know I'm cold. I don't know if you're cold because you've got the space heater pointing at your feet.
There's plenty of space heater room for both of us here, my friend. You can take it away from me if you'd like. Listen, neither of us have anything to complain about. Look at the Pitt Ultras down there, shirtless and overalls right now in this weather.
Yeah, they're enjoying themselves. It's been nice to see the Ultras this season. Group of diehards. They like to attend the games in, would you call those train conductor overalls?
Sure. It's I can't think of a better way to describe them, so I'll take that.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like candy striped,
yeah,
kind of, something like that. This ball up for Svenby now. It's space on the right. Sends it to the top of the box there in the 6-yard box for Thorsen. It's cleared out.
Svenby and Thorsen, of course, both from Drammen, Norway. They've tended to have some really good chemistry during their time here together. I know that Thorsen will miss Svenby.
Played together when they were much younger. Some afters there between Travis Smith and Albert Thorsen. Tomas Badore. And this one turned over. Monty Thomas screeching off the back line to take it. Sorensen cuts it off.
Whew. It was a nice play by Sorensen to come over and win the ball back. I'm sure Gilman had it under control, but probably appreciates Sorensen coming over and handling that for him. Thomas really broke down that right wing nice for Wake Forest right there. They've definitely favored the right-hand side, it appears. Here we see the end of that play again. Thomas really building up a head of steam down the wing, running at Gilman. Sorensen's able to just come over and nice and easy take care of business.
The early portion of that first half, Wake Forest did seem to kind of favor that matchup with Gilman on that right side, going at him quite a bit.
Nice footwork there.
Pitt wins a corner.
Bordoy looking to make an impact.
Another guy with about 50 career college games. Transferred in from Memphis. Bordoy. Grayson Carter will take this corner. See what Jonah Mednard does in goal this time for Wake. He's been all over it tonight. Several highlight reel saves.
Panthers have had some success off corners this season. Referee just having a quick word there with a couple guys. There was some jostling going on. Daniel Kruger there. He's been mixing it up all day long.
Been marking Villamajana, who has been a big Pitt target in these situations this year. Toward the 6-yard box, looking for Villamajana that time. Now a shot over the crossbar. That was Svenby trying to line it up from distance.
I think he might have had a bit too much time to line that up and think about it. Headed away by Valent. Svenby just kind of swinging under it.
So David, obviously with Bobby Muse and Jay Vidovich, Muse coaching under Vidovich for 6 years, in the early 2000s. Just from your perspective over the years, watching these two teams play, these two programs, and then even just tonight, you know, how much of each other's styles can you see in their teams between Jay and Bobby?
Yeah, I think they're very, very similar teams, right? I mean, they're well organized. They have, you know, clear styles of play and principles that they operate by. I think obviously the scenarios are different, Pitt being at home, Wake being on the road. So I think that, you know, it presents some different scenarios in terms of just what this matchup is for each team. But I think Pitt has definitely possessed the ball the way that they wanted to. I think that they've been frustrated obviously by the keeper for Wake. I think that they're hanging right on in here. They've looked to generate opportunities of their own. They haven't really penetrated with great threat into Pitt's half, but they're only going to need one chance. And so I think the game that they're playing here tonight is obviously different than the game that they played, you know, the games they've played at home or different matchups. So definitely hallmarks of these coaches and their staffs. Both teams would have been really well prepared coming in here and having a pretty good idea of what their opponents were going to throw at them. But I think in terms of preparation, Wake has really come in with a solid game plan. I think they've been able to neutralize some of Pitt's threats. Obviously, you can see Pitt's trying to get Svenby to be more active in this second half. Coaching staffs using their depth and figuring out who their starters and finishers are going to be for this game.
It's so interesting because they know each other so well. So the chess match that they're playing, they've probably played a million times and have even consulted each other as members of the same staff in how they would approach situations like this. You see both guys, two of only 3 coaches in ACC history to win Coach of the Year in back-to-back seasons. Of course, Bobby Muse, the only guy to do it in 4 straight seasons. Jay Vidovich doing it at Wake Forest 08-09 and then at Pitt 2020 and 21. There's a ball forward.
Bulldoy's seen a good amount of the ball down the left-hand side to start this second half. He's been looking to make an impact.
Wake Forest looking for a quad 1 win on the road. Both teams looking for their second ACC win of the year. Here's Grayson Carter with a chance in the box, knocked out by Thomas. Excuse me, Travis Smith stepping up to make that play.
Carter just wasn't quite able to get on the end of that Svenby pass, but that was a really nice intrusion into Wake's box there.
Think of where these teams started this year for Pitt. Picked third in the ACC. Was ranked 7th to start the season nationally. Got as high as number 3 in the country. Now they've been unranked for several weeks. And for Wake Forest, same type of story. First 5 weeks of the season ranked in the top 10, got as high as number 1 about a month ago, and now they've been out of the rankings for about a month. That just shows you what the ACC schedule can do to your team.
Well, I think a lot of times, especially to start the season.
Thorsen at the top of the box and taken away by Smith.
At the start of the season, those rankings are based on what you did last year, and then, you know, sort of becomes more important what you're doing this year. And while Wake got off to the hot start, Pitt kind of ran into some tough opponents on the schedule. I remember early matchups to Georgetown and Clemson, which they suffered defeats, and so Pitt really has not been able to string consecutive wins together. I think they have 2 back-to-back wins this season. This would be the 2nd time if they're able to win tonight. For Wake, same thing. They had a couple back-to-back wins, but other than that, there haven't been any extended winning streaks for either of these sides. And I think that's so important during a college season to be able to stitch those wins together.
Talk about the
work. Sorry.
No, you talk about the schedule that Pitt had to deal with early on. Clemson on the road, NC State, Duke, at Stanford. They played number 1 twice in 3 weeks, basically. And then for Wake Forest, it's a similar story. North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, Stanford, your first 4 ACC games. It's going to be hard to find results in those situations.
Yeah, really tough schedules, and I think that's where, if as a team you're struggling a little bit, when you have a tough schedule like that, there's no place to hide from it. You know, you got to keep going out there and you just take your licks and you figure it out.
65th minute at Ambrose Urbanic Field. Still scoreless after a flurry of early saves by the Wake Forest keeper Jonah Mednard has kept zeros on the board.
Yeah, it's kind of tightened up a bit. Mednard's early heroics have kept Wake neck and neck in this tie.
Now with space, cutting it back across, but nobody was home. Perez made easy work of that to get rid of it.
I like the role Torbick's played for Wake coming on here. As you mentioned, the State College kid back in Pennsylvania, but he's been playing central midfield, really tough, winning battles, putting himself about. So I wonder if either team can find the back of the net. What the last 30 minutes of this contest looks like as desperation and desire take over.
What a competitive battle for possession on that near side.
Grayson Carter's just a grinder, you know, I mean, he just keeps going and keeps going. You see here Thorsen and Smith competing. Here's Carter jumping into the play, down the line, keeps it in, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. Great show of strength. Wins his team a free kick in a dangerous area.
Pitt with 12 shots on the board to Wake Forest 3. 3 corners apiece so far tonight. Carter will take this one. Finds a couple of black jerseys. Willent with a touch, trying to get past Fenby. He'll safely send it back to Moxon.
I can see that the volleyball game has reached a conclusion because the OC parking lot is emptying out up on the hillside. So I would assume that means that most likely Pitt won in 3, but we'll work on getting confirmation of that. But it's a big homecoming weekend here in Oakland. There'll be fireworks going off at the Cathedral of Learning later on. Maybe we'll see some fireworks right here at Ambrose Urbanic Field.
Well, we certainly did to start the game 90 seconds in.
Yes, we did. And then, of course, there'll be a homecoming football game tomorrow.
Substitutions come on now for Wake Forest. Subachan will head to the bench. Bassett Umar comes back on. Chandler Young as well. Chandler Young hasn't played because of injury since September 26th against Clemson, but he's back out there. Bobby Muse really likes what he has in Chandler Young.
Yeah, and that's the ace up your sleeve being played there by Bobby Muse. Young coming back from injury, the 6'2" freshman. And he looks like he's got a set of wheels on him.
He's going to slot into the number 9.
And he'll be looking to stretch out the field for Wake, put pressure on the Pitt back line.
Lasse Dahl has come on as well for Santi Ferreira on the Pitt side of things.
Interesting shift for Pitt with Dahl coming and playing out wide right. Bordoy stays on and plays left, and Grayson Carter has slipped into central midfield now. And so you see coaching moves and counter moves coming into play, substitutions.
Ball up top for Dahl from Svenby, and too much on it. Those two enjoy playing off each other. Svenby commits the foul there on Young. Turnover here. Out wide for Bordoy. Smacks it into the box, headed out by Smith. Now turning with some space. It's now Dahl. Ball squeaked through and into the arms of Mednard. Dahl is frustrated.
Yeah, he couldn't really find the finish for that one, but it was a nice opportunity that the Panthers created. Willemit is able to pick out Bordoy. The cross is deflected. We're able to head it away a little bit, but Willemit finds it back, connects with Carter.
This ball squeaks out of the foot of Mednard, and Albert Thorsen bangs it into the back of the net. Pitt is on the board first, and Mednard, after making a flurry saves to keep this scoreless, makes a grave mistake and coughs up a goal.
Well, and how about that? What a turn of events. Albert Thorsen was able to find the back of the net. Let's take a look at it again. It's the back pass. And the pressure there by Grayson Carter is able to force the turnover. Thorsen pounces off the bad touch, slides it home. And that's the finish you need from your number 9 in a critical matchup. You feel terrible for Mednard. The only reason that Wake was still in this game was because of his heroics early on. The game giveth and the game taketh away. Tough break for that young man. He deserves better.
Second straight game with a goal for Albert Thorsen. Now 3 goals on the year for Thorsen. Johnny on the spot with that one. Tough break for Mednard. But you saw the reaction by Grayson Carter in the background, and that just says it all. That pressure that he was able to apply, and he almost knew it. As soon as the heavy touch was applied, he knew what was coming next.
Yeah, you see so many teams that, you know, play through the keeper, play out from the keeper these days. It's just a part of our game. But it really puts a lot of pressure on that position to be able to play it out, and teams know it. Teams scout each other, and particularly in this conference, you know, they're picking opportunities to put the press on, and key moments, key touches, key players. And in that moment, Carter was able to put the pressure on the keeper, force the bad touch. Thorsen was there to finish it off.
14 shots for Pitt tonight. They were able to put up a season high in shots and shots on goal last week against Syracuse, but the previous stretch before that, the shot totals were not good. They didn't put a ball on frame against Denver at all. First time that happened to them in 7 years. A couple of weeks ago against Stanford, they only put 1 shot on the board. That was the fewest that Pitt had had since 2016. So the scoring drought was significant for Pitt in the sense that they couldn't even create chances during those stretches of time. But now, tonight they've had multiple chances, able to finally convert, and then last week against Syracuse putting a 4 spot on the board. Things seem to be trending in the right direction for the Panther attack.
For sure, they're trending in the right direction. We'll see if they continue to do so throughout this game, throughout the rest of the season. I'm really curious just how this game plays out. We've got 18 minutes left. You know, can Wake find a way onto the score sheet, get something out of this game? Can Pitt keep Wake off the board? Can they win the game 1-0? Can they find a second and get some insurance for this victory?
Flax with space and direct traffic out to his fellow captain, Escribano. And we know that Jay Vidovich was not pleased with his team's reaction after scoring the first goal against Syracuse. They immediately basically surrendered an equalizer to Syracuse last week. So you know that that's on his mind now. What will the Pitt Panther response be after banging a goal into the back of the net?
Yeah, just as you mentioned, that we've seen Pitt be able to put it together a bit more effectively in the opponent's box. I think also we've seen Pitt start to do some things to be able to solidify across that back line and make sure that defensively they're able to hold Wake off. But Wake has some dynamic, explosive players. And it's just going to take one opportunity for them to capitalize. Badore always calm on the ball. See Pitt plays through him a lot. Just cleans things up.
You know Pitt wants a second one, but they'll also just be happy to keep possession here. Try to play cleanly through the last 15 minutes of this game. Thorsen and Svenby trying to combine. Svenby able to get in front of it, take it back. Now Lassadal.
Nice job by the Panthers keeping that alive down there, maintaining possession, maintaining the ball, and that's the best thing they're going to be able to do to hold Wake off. Is if they can just hold on to the ball as much as possible, then Wake will have very limited opportunities. And that's the basis of that entire philosophy.
Thought it went across the end line. It did. And a big shove on the backside of this play. Bordoy goes down. Thomas and Bordoy getting into it on the far side. You saw Chandler Young, too, number 23 in black, applying a lot of pressure to that Pitt back line, which eventually made the Panthers boot it deep into their attacking third. And that's something that Pitt has done in the past. They've had a mistouch here or there on that back line, and then if there's enough pressure up top, the opposition can capitalize quickly.
Boyd has seen a lot of time this second half. I think he may be...
Substitution for Wake Forest. Entering number 13.
Harvey Sarajian comes on for Wake Forest. He started the game in that number 9 position. He's going to come out wide left.
Replacing number 11,
Bordeaux was subbed out, by the way.
Yep, Bordeaux comes off. Logan Oliver comes on for Pitt.
replacing number 26, Anders Bordeaux.
Jeffrey White has also come on for Tate Lawrence.
Quite sure what we're waiting for here, Wheels, do you know?
I do not. And ready to go again. Everybody was kind of looking toward the near side of the field. I'm not sure what we were waiting on. Svenby takes this away from Sarajian. Top of the box now. Nice back heel from Villamajana. Another one from Thorsen trying to get it to Dahl. Some nifty footwork by Pitt and a foul at the center.
Well, things fell apart for Pitt a little bit there. The attack, Thorsen and Dahl were on top of each other. They couldn't get the shot off, but there was an opportunity opening up for them, and then Wake counters away. Logan Oliver brings him down and takes a yellow. Nice touch there. Another back heel by Villamajana, but it sort of went both to Thorsen and Villamajana. Neither one of them was able to get a shot off. They got in each other's way. And then Logan Oliver takes the card with the foul. Now it's a free kick for Wake.
Took down Bassett Umar, who got up a little gimpy for a moment. Looks to be moving just fine.
Great cover by Wetzel there. Slides over, makes the tackle. Nice play.
Gets into the box. Foul going the other way. There was a collision down there. Maybe a head knock as we look at the play by Wetzel.
Here's that tackle. Nice. Yeah, defenders like making plays like that. Give us an opportunity to do a nice little slide.
And it's Jackson Gilman on the turf for Pitt. Finally gets up.
Gilman, tough as nails, from Schwenksville, PA. The Norwich City supporter. But what a great asset he's been for the Panthers. Here you see he clears the corner, gets headed and kind of pulled down a bit, so wins the free kick for his team. Looks like he'll be able to continue.
Thorsen, nifty footwork to get some space. Now it's Grayson Carter out wide for Svenby. He's got space, covered nicely by Wake. Chipped back toward the net, headed back post, and nobody's in the center for Pitt. Nice job by Wake Forest to recover defensively. Pitt keeps winning those second balls in the midfield. Nice move by Carter again. Svenby going back post for Villamajana. Too much on it to make it any sort of dangerous.
Pitt's really done a nice job of bringing Casper Svenby into this game in the second half. I really think they've found him down the right a lot more in this second half. I think it's helped them generate good attack and tempo, opportunities.
Carter, nice touch there. Rebate, and it slides just wide of the net.
It was like a slow motion chance. He just sort of like rolled it towards the goal and it almost made its way in there. Villamajana finds Carter. Lovely through ball to Badore.
Looked like it even surprised Bednard too. He thought maybe somebody was waiting backside. Caught him flat-footed. You can just kind of see, especially in the last few minutes here, David, some of the flair of the Pitt attackers is coming back in. And for a while at the middle point of the season, you didn't see any of that. Nobody really seemed to have the confidence to make those plays. Everybody was playing tight. It's just a wonder when you put up a game with 4 goals, what it can do for you. And it seems like tonight, with the amount of offense they've been generating, they're starting to feel themselves a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, they're healthier and the chemistry's building up. And, you know, you've got more cohesion, more regular starting lineup, and so I think there's a lot of reasons why Pitt is looking better at this point in time. I think that, you know, they're hungry, they're tenacious, got a lot of pride in this bunch, and they're looking to really put in a strong accounting of themselves down the stretch here.
Jay Vidovich has said over the last few weeks, even despite some of the struggles in the beginning portion of ACC play, that he has really admired the way his group has just kept at it. They haven't dropped their heads. They haven't gotten any sort of negative. They haven't turned on each other. They've just continued to grind and stick with that process. And he's just hopeful that the results start to come or continue to come. He said it was just unfortunate a couple weeks ago, you know, regardless of seeing the way the guys were responding well to being on the wrong side of things, that they just couldn't get rewarded with a result. But sometimes one is all it takes, and then the floodgates open. Another good chance here for Pitt. Carter working. Got past Smith, but Smith able to recover.
Yeah, he had a nice little fake there. Bought himself the opportunity to get a shot off, but couldn't quite pull it off. Counter
for Wake now with White on the right side. Tries to send it in, deflected by Pitt. And they give Gilman a foul there on Chandler Young as he goes down. Gilman doesn't like it.
Another dangerous opportunity for Demon Deacons here. Maybe the most important 10 minutes of Pitt's soccer season to this point right now. Seeing if they can close out this victory, earn themselves a second ACC win of the year.
Flax into the box. Thorsen heads it out the backside. I thought it was interesting, David, too, when we talked to Bobby Muse. And we asked him, like, who else do you need a little bit more out of? And it surprised me when he said, yeah, I think Cooper, Flax, and Bassett Umar, I love what they're giving us right now, but I think there's an extra gear that each of those guys can touch.
Yeah, I think as coaches, you always see the, you know, it's more than potential. It's, you know, capabilities of people, and especially, you know, these guys, they show you things in practice, or you see them enough that you know what they're capable of. And obviously everyone's human beings, but you want them to be able to, you know, play at the highest level, game in, game out. And finding that consistency is really the challenge, and then building off it, you know, not just being consistent, but now being excellent every time out and being impactful every time out. And so I think just finding that next gear, a lot of times it does happen with players in their senior year.
Subachan centers this ball up. Was loose for a moment. Dangerous possession. And Badere is able to take it out.
That was just tremendous skill by Badere to bring it out of the box there. There was danger created by the Demon Deacons. Kruger's shaking his head. He's not quite sure how Badere found his way out of there. You can see dangerous ball played over. Badere just backs his way out of there. Really nice.
I mean, that's an elite play. The pressure from Umar on the backside. He's so good at working through tight spaces, no matter what spot on the field he's at.
Yeah, the Argentinian's feet are quite a thing of beauty.
Jay Vidovich said earlier this year. I think he needs to recruit some more Argentinian players after having Tomas Bader here.
I did volunteer to go on a recruiting trip to Buenos Aires with him.
Bader played in the NCAA tournament with Oregon State last year.
I mean, I would say there's, generally speaking, some similarities between the Argentinians and the Spaniards in terms of their skill and their footwork.
Sorensen here, challenged by Young, and they're going to give the foul to Sorensen.
He's going to get a red here, I think.
Yeah, clear path. And he does. Straight red for Nicholas Sorensen. Chandler Young had the advantage and got pulled down. He just had a feeling that Chandler Young, with the pressure he was putting on that back line, that he might find some daylight, and he finally did and made the Panthers pay for it.
The referee's going to go take a look at this. I mean, the AR is calling the foul as well. You see there, Sorensen gets a touch. Chandler forces his way ahead of him, and there's contact. Sorensen's, I believe, arguing that Young had a hold of his arm and kind of twisted himself down. We'll see if the decision changes here.
Quick review. And the red stays.
The call stands.
Yeah, there was some jostling there. It looked like Young reached his arm out. But regardless, Nicholas Sorensen sent off in the 84th minute here.
Well, it was interesting before, but it just got another layer of interesting. I mean, that's a huge blow for the Panthers. Sorensen getting sent off. He can't believe it.
That hurts Pitt, not just for right now, but not having him for next week on the road against Louisville. When points are precious in the ACC, they barely hold on to a 1-goal lead right now. You're going to have Umar and Flax over the ball to take this free kick from just about a yard outside the 18-yard box. Jack Moxham getting the Pitt defense organized. And looks like Jacob Redenfors has come on for Pitt.
Redenfors subs on for Carter. We'll see if Pitt is able to survive this.
Flax takes this over the crossbar, went straight for the net. And a sigh of relief a little bit for Pitt and the fans in the stands. Flax is so dangerous on the ball. Try to put some topspin on that.
That's one of them where he was almost too close to be able to bring the ball back down again. You almost want to be, 25 yards away from goal rather than 19. Flax definitely got like a Christian Pulisic look to him. I don't know if it's just the haircut or if there's more to it than that, but it's been making me think of Pulisic all night.
Some high praise. So Pitt down to 10 men now, trying to survive the last 6 minutes of this match. White centered it up. Chandler Young takes a poke as well, and Pitt is able to clear briefly.
Pitt will have to get themselves organized back there very, very quickly.
Sarajian sends it across the box. White's on the other side to collect it. Jeffrey White making a move into the box with space, centered up. It's loose, but Moxham is there to pounce on it.
Huge effort by Moxham to be able to smother that ball, snuff out the opportunity for Wake. Wake was really causing problems there. Jeffrey White making a nice move down the right-hand side, getting the ball into danger. Shook his way past Reddenford as he just came off the bench. He was looking to connect with Umar, but Pitt was able to hold him off.
So an injury timeout. Thomas gets worked on. Some instruction from Jay Vidovich trying to get his defense organized. Down a man in the late stages of this match. Trying to secure a win at home against Wake Forest, which would really be a signature win for Pitt to this point in the year. Albert Thorsen responsible for the goal for Pitt.
It all comes off the turnover forced by Grayson Carter. Pretty simple finish for Thorsen, just had to run onto it and stroke it home, which he's able to do, no problem. Big goal for the Panthers, and we'll see if they're able to make it stand up. Just over 5 minutes left here.
Number 7, Nico Rabi, replacing number 4, Amani Thomas.
What a massive test this is for Pitt's makeup. Their tenacity, their resilience.
So Thomas has come off, and Nico Rabiu has come on for Wake Forest to finish this thing off. Moxham boots it deep. Sarajian and Thorsen tangled up.
I think the ref gave a free kick to Wake, but for a minute there it looked like he couldn't decide which team to give the free kick to.
Out wide for Sarajian. Svenby cuts it off.
Great job tracking it there.
Every clearance takes precious seconds off the clock. Reddenford tried to clear it, but Wake Forest takes possession. Now it's Umar in the box. Flax, nice touch, looking for Young. It's still loose. Combo play in the box for Wake Forest. Albert Thorsen, some composure on the ball, gets rid of it.
Thorsen again getting back and doing dirty work.
Sarajian into the middle. Pitt there to deflect it. Thorsen sends it deep. Fireworks go off in the distance here at Ambrose Urbanic Field off the top of the Cathedral Learning. Pitt can only hope they can hang on here and celebrate in a similar fashion.
Yeah, we'll see if there's any fireworks to go off here at Ambrose Urbanic in the next 3.5 minutes as well. Wake desperate to find a way onto the score sheet, get themselves back on level terms for Pitt. Working to see this thing out. A man down, a goal up, and emptying their tanks, trying to close this thing out to get their second ACC win of the season.
Wake Forest prodding for an equalizer. These teams sit at 11th and 12th respectively in the ACC standings. Wake with 5 points on the year, Pitt with 4. Trying to find a way to maybe earn a top 8 spot and host a game. Either way, trying to bolster their NCAA tournament resumes to potentially be an at-large bid. Trying to get hot at the right time. Back post, it's White with space in front of him. What a defensive play from Pitt. Deflected on its way to the net.
I'm not sure how that ball didn't end up in the back of the net, Wheels. I thought for sure that Jeffrey White was about to bang in the equalizer. Wake has a corner now.
Corner coming from Flax. This ball loose into the back of the net for Wake Forest. We're tied at Ambrose Urbanic Field.
There's a melee in the goal. Wake Forest looks to have tied it up.
Wake Forest goal in the 88th minute, scored by number 10, Harvey Sarajian.
It's 1-1.
Assisted by number 8.
The referee might well look at this, but we'll see.
Harvey Sarajian on the end of a header. Villamajana got a piece of it, but not enough.
Moxham was looking to get the foul. Villamajana on the line. As you said, not able to keep it out.
It was loose just for a moment. And I think the initial touch by Villamajana went straight down, but then the spin on it brought it into the net. And we are absolutely tied at Ambrose Urbanic Field. The goal goes to Harvey Sarajian on the header. The assist to Cooper Flax off the corner. What a great job by Wake, too, to restart so quickly. After the chance by Jeffrey White was thwarted by Pitt. Now a couple of minutes. Under 60 seconds here.
Wake pressing for a winner. We'll see if Pitt has anything left in the tank to try to get themselves back in front again, but this game looks destined for 1-1 at this point. Wake was able to mount enough pressure to get it in off the set piece. It created some opportunities. Pitt suffering from the red card to Sorensen. Just not able to hold on to the 1-0 lead.
And then it makes you think, David, all the way back to 90 seconds into this match. You think about Jonah Mednard. And of course, it was his heavy touch that eventually gave up the goal to Albert Thorsen to make it 1-0 Pitt. But if he doesn't make the amazing plays he does in the early portion of the first half, then this thing looks way different than it does right now.
Well, maybe that's the soccer gods at work, giving Jonah Mednard a piece of this game, a piece of this outcome.
After the goal went in, you said it yourself, you deserve better in that moment.
That's a tough break. And it's a tough break for Pitt to concede a goal like that. You know, it's tough the way Sorensen got sent off, but that's the game, you know. It's just the way the game goes, these moments, these actions, decisions. That's why they play the game, Wheels.
And the late substitution to bring Sarajian on as well by Bobby Muse. He ends up being the guy that puts the goal in to tie this thing up, his second goal of the year.
Starters and finishers, you know, starters and finishers.
Regardless, what a spectacular soccer match we had in the ACC tonight. Between these two teams, mentor versus mentee on the sidelines, Bobby Muse and Jay Vidovich.
8, 7,
Wake was looking for one last run.
4, 3,
So Pitt down a man, up for a good portion of this second half. Give up a goal right at the end of things after Sorensen was sent off. We end this thing in a draw, but what a match it was.
Yeah, it was really exciting from start to finish. We had fireworks of our own up here. You can see Moxham's frustrated. Pitt will be disappointed that they let this result get away from them. But you knew Wake wasn't going to go away without a fight.
Look at the exhaustion. Chandler Young, he came in the second half and he worked his butt off, and eventually he ends up getting a result for his team.
Yep, definitely impacted the game. Coach Vidovich will be frustrated the way this went down, especially the last 10 minutes.
So there's a look at your updated standings in the bottom 10 of the conference. So just 1 point apiece due to the draw here. They inch a bit closer, but things definitely look a little bit more bleak for either side here, as you really wanted 3 points. You can see some of the anguish on the face of Arnau Villamajana, knowing how close they were kind of changing the complexion of their season as they give this thing up in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think somehow it's kind of demonstrative of the type of season that these teams have had, the fact that they haven't quite been able to get themselves going, whether it